Hey everyone, welcome back. You know how much I love digging into these topics that really make us think, right? And today's deep dive is all about something pretty fundamental. What actually makes for a good life. We've got this video clip with some thought-provoking ideas on it, and I'm really curious to see what you make of it.
Yeah, it should be good.
Have you ever just stopped for a second and thought, okay, what does a good life even look like?
Definitely. All the time.
I mean, we see all these images, right? You know, the big city, fancy cars, those massive houses. It's easy to think that's the ultimate goal.
It's like that's what we're all supposed to be striving for.
Exactly. But the person in this video, they kind of flip that on its head. They bring up the idea of a simpler life, maybe out in the country, and how it's often seen as less desirable.
It's like there's this unspoken hierarchy, right?
Totally. But then they go deeper. They talk about the core stuff that we all need. Food, shelter, clothes.
The basics.
Yes. And they make this point that no matter where you are, city or country, you're ultimately trying to fulfill those same needs. It's just that the how looks different.
Right. Like a farmer grows their own food while someone in the city works to earn money to buy it. Same need, different approach.
That's such a good point. It really puts things into perspective. There's also this other thing that the speaker talks about, and it really resonated with me, the pressure that comes with chasing that better life, especially in the city. It's like you're constantly on this treadmill of wanting more and more.
It's like that feeling that you're never quite enough. You always need the next thing, the bigger house, the fancier car.
Do you think that's something a lot of people struggle with?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a huge part of our culture these days with all the advertising and social media constantly telling us we need more stuff to be happy. But the thing is, there's actually a lot of research that shows that we get used to those positive changes pretty quickly. Like, you get that new car and you're thrilled for a while, but then... Exactly. It's called hedonic adaptation. Your happiness level kind of goes back to where it was before.
Wow. So even if we get all those things we think we want, it might not actually make us that much happier in the long run.
It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
So if it's not all about the stuff, then what is it about? Because the speaker in the video actually gives a pretty straightforward definition of a good life, and I found it really refreshing.
Me too. It's simple but powerful.
They basically say it's about having those basic needs met: food, shelter, clothing, regardless of where you are or what you own.
And it's about recognizing that true happiness, it doesn't solely come from having a ton of material possessions.
Right. It's like if you've got those essentials covered, you're already doing pretty well.
Yeah. It makes you think, doesn't it?
You know, it's interesting, though. While I do love that message of simplicity, there's this part of me that wonders if a certain amount of ambition and material progress is also important for society as a whole. I mean, a lot of the innovations and advancements we have come from people wanting to make things better, right?
That's a great point. And I don't think it has to be an either situation. It's not about condemning ambition or progress.
It's more about finding a balance.
Exactly. Maybe a good life is about striking that balance between meeting your needs, pursuing your passions and goals, and also contributing something positive to the world.
That's a really nice way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's not that material things are bad in themselves. It's more about being aware of our motivations and our relationship with them.
Yeah. Are we chasing things because they truly align with our values? Or are we doing it because we feel like we should, or because of outside pressure? That's a question worth asking.
Definitely. It sounds like this whole good life concept is way more nuanced than we often realize. It's not just a one-size-fits-all answer.
Definitely not. It's super personal, subjective. It really depends on what matters to you as an individual.
Which brings us back to you listening. It's cool to think about, right? If you had all those basic needs covered, food, shelter, clothes, what else would make your life feel truly good?
What would bring you that deep sense of joy and fulfillment? What gives you a sense of purpose? Connection with others?
That's something I'm going to be pondering for sure. It's a really great question for all of us to consider.
Definitely food for thought.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back next week with another thought-provoking topic. Until then, keep those minds curious.
See you then.